Today I'm going to be showing you how I create my perfect go-to easy glam makeup look that in my opinion is perfect for any occasion. This is going to be a little full face toot on my go-to glam, my friends. Whether you are heading to a big event, you are celebrating something, you're going to a wedding, or you just want to feel extra fabulous, this is a makeup look that in my personal humble opinion you can wear to absolutely any event or occasion that you need. Without further ado, let's do some soft easy glam on this face. I always go back and forth about whether or not I should start with my eyes or my face, but usually, even if something goes wrong, I'm always doing my face first. I always like to really just amp up the glow and make sure the base is popping before I even get to the eyes, which can be dangerous sometimes if anything goes awry, but we're not playing with like any color or like heavy glitter today, so I'm hoping that'll be okay if we start with the base. So speaking of, I'm gonna start with the little Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base. This has been such a favorite for a very long time, and I actually recently repurchased a lovely little tub, so I'm just gonna take a little bit of that out with my knuckle. It's such a beautiful like primer and moisturizer in one. It's super thick. I had just put my serums and whatnot on my skin, so I'm going to start with a good hefty amount of that and spread it all over my face. I also want to note that whenever I'm getting ready and like doing glam makeup, if I have an event or a photo shoot or anything, I always shave my face beforehand, and it just really like makes all your makeup go on so smoothly and so nicely. So add that in, a little pre-makeup shaving. I'm also going to put on my lip balm. This is my Nude Sticks lip butter, and I'm going to let that soak into the lips while we do our makeup. Sorry, I just like rubbed on the side. Hello. I'm gonna let that soak into the lips while we do the rest of the makeup as well. Before we do anything else, I'm actually gonna just put my little e.l.f. brow lift into my brows, this lovely little clear gel, and I wanna let that like sit and dry before we do any of the other makeup, just to make sure that all the brow hairs are nice and slicked and lifted. And my hair is up today. Like, I like to do this on any day regardless, but my hair is up, so I really want the brows to be a focal point and make sure that they are really nice and big and fluffy. I love a good feathered brow. I am not here for the thin 90s brows coming back. I refuse. I will never do that again. I keep fiddling with my brows truly like throughout the entire process of doing my makeup, but I'm gonna let that set and then I'll be able to fill them in later once everything is dry and not sticky anymore. So now that the primer's been soaking for a little minute, we're gonna go in with our foundation. Now I have a lot of foundations that I really love when it comes to like go-to makeup, but I definitely like to go for something that has a little bit more coverage. I wanna amp up the coverage a bit more than I do for my everyday makeup. Obviously, like right now I'm obsessed with the Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin Foundation. I am like squeezing this one to the bones. I have been loving it so much. The shade is a little bit deeper than my natural skin tone right now, which is gonna add a nice like warmth, like just a healthy glow to the skin. So I'm gonna make sure to take that all the way down my neck as well. But I'm going to take a couple pumps onto the back of my hand. This one's got like a buildable medium coverage, I'd say. I'm not one to do full coverage when it comes to my foundation because I really like to add in the coverage when I apply my concealer. For me, I've got a lot of like pigment and veins and redness in my skin, so I just like to have a base all over to even it out, and then I go in with the concealer to add more coverage where I want it, and we also use it to like highlight specific areas on the face. But I always like to go in with something, whether it be lighter or medium, maybe full, but for the most part, I love a good in-between for the coverage, and then I can adjust it accordingly. So this foundation has just been such a dream to use. I think it has the most beautiful, natural, glowy finish, and it's just been my go-to since I discovered it for any kind of event that I have going on. So I've just spread that all over with my fingers, and then I'm gonna blend that in with my beauty blender, and you can just see it puts the most beautiful finish on the skin, and it just sinks right in. You can't see it, it's undetectable on the face. You can use this with a brush, you can use it with your fingers. For speed, I like to just use the beauty sponge, and I also feel like it helps keep that glow there, and it removes any of the excess product, make sure that I'm not over applying it, and I just really lightly pat that around all over my skin. And you can go in with another layer if you want. I feel like this is gonna be a good amount, but I might have to add more on my neck here, but just make sure, especially if you have an updo, like you're getting behind your ears. You don't wanna have like a big white spot. That's happened to me before in photos where I've neglected the back of my head right here. And then in a photo, I just have this like glowing white ball. So make sure you get the ears and around your ears too if you're using a shade that's a little bit warmer than your natural skin tone. that's the foundation all blended out. We just have a lovely layer of coverage. And now we're gonna go in with our concealer and add in some more coverage and specific like highlighting where we want. So I've got 2 shades of the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. I have the shade Custard and the shade Vanilla. You can see there's quite a discrepancy in the shades there. I'm gonna start with Custard. Now I don't always do it like this, but if I have a little bit more time, if I'm being a little bit more careful with my makeup, I will do this. And I'm just gonna go in and conceal where I want that extra coverage. So I have a few zits right here. I've got a few red patches on my cheek. I've got a zit right here. I'm gonna go in and like directly spot conceal the areas that I want to have more of a full coverage feeling on. So I'm using this one that is the same shade as the foundation, ideally something that matches it. I also like to add a little bit of extra concealer here just for like the contour region, and I've got really big red patches here. Got a little zit that I was picking there, and then I'm just gonna add a little bit right in the inner corner here. I've got more of my dark circles. Now sometimes I'll just go in and blend this with my beauty blender, but sometimes if I want a little bit more of that focused coverage, I'll take a little kabuki brush and I will just press that concealer in to make sure that it is staying in the area where I am placing it. And I'll do that all around the spots where I've applied that concealer, just to make sure that we're really getting that coverage where we want it. So I'm just really, really lightly pushing that concealer in, pretty much just like stay there where you've been placed on your little spot, and using a smaller brush just helps you be a little bit more precise with that. So I'll just go over and really lightly press that in, and if the product is good and it's doing its job, it should just really start to sink into the skin naturally. And then to just smooth it out even more and make sure that there's no excess product kicking around, I'm gonna go in with my beauty blender and I will just go over top really lightly and make sure that everything is seamless. So now that we've completely evened out our skin tone and gotten the coverage that we want, I'm gonna go in with that lighter shade with the Vanilla, and this is just gonna be added on to highlight. So I just really wanna highlight this inner portion of my eye to give it some brightness. We're gonna brighten the edge of the eye here, down the center of the nose. I want a little bit just on my forehead here and just below my chin. Just a little bit of highlighting. And then I'll just take my beauty blender and blend that out. It just adds that extra layer of brightness to the skin. I've really been loving this. And again, most of the time for my everyday makeup, I don't like separate these steps. I only do this if I'm being extra careful and extra precious with my makeup, but most of the time I'll just apply both of the colors of the concealer on and just blend it out all at once. But I do feel like it makes a nicer difference if you do separate the steps and focus on the coverage only where you need it, and then you can highlight after just to brighten up the skin. Then I'm going to take my Benefit Professional Setting Spray. I will use this like truly when I'm doing my own makeup and not talking through it. I spray this like 70,000 times throughout my makeup process, and I just love to make sure that all of the layers of the skin are set in and soaking in as I go, and I just like to do it in between pretty much all of the base steps on my face. I'm just gonna let that sit for a sec. Let all of our concealer have a moment, but then we gotta finish up the cream product. So now I'm gonna use my cream contour step. And again, just like the concealer, sometimes I'll do this all in one, but usually I like to go in with layers. And sometimes I'll do this and I'll move a little bit of the concealer, and that's okay. I'll just go ahead and like touch up the concealer where I want it to, but sometimes the magic just works and it all just soaks in nicely together. So that's the goal. I'm gonna take my Huda Beauty Tantour. This one's in the shade Fair. This one's gotten a lot of love out of me. I love to use this with a brush. This is my Smith 157 brush, my go-to forever. But this Huda Beauty product is so pigmented. I like to make sure I take some off on my hand and just really work in the layers. Like, look, I just wiped so much of that on my hand and so much is still coming out. Like, it really, really is such a pigmented product. And I just really softly pat this on top of my cheekbones and bring the product up into my hairline. So I'm just really softly like carving out that cheek, like I'm following the line, but I'm going above the line instead of directly on it or below it. So it's really helping give that like lifted look to the face. And then I'll just blend it right up into my hairline. I just really love making it look like I am bronzed and summery all day long. So I like to make sure that I make this contour slash bronzer look as natural as possible. And this is where I naturally tan and get freckly. So I want to make sure that I'm focusing the product up here as well. I also like to take a little bit of that just on my jawline. Sometimes I can definitely go a little bit heavy-handed there. So I try to be very, very light with that and just press a little amount on. And then I'm gonna take a little brush, do the same thing, just take most of the product off on my hand
and then apply that on the nose. I should just really stop calling this nose contour because it just never seems to work out that way for me, but I essentially just bring the same product onto my nose, whichever fashion that you wish. I just do some little lines here. Some people do the little button nose thing. I don't really, that just doesn't work for me. I just have a pointy nose and that's fine. No buttons to be had, but I just make sure to press that in. Sometimes I will go in and actually grab an extra brush, like a clean brush, and I'll just pat that through. Sometimes I'll do it with my beauty blender, and sometimes I'll do all of the above. It just kind of depends, but just getting some of that product here on the nose, making sure that it's all blended out. I know sometimes it can look a little bit intense at the start, but it kind of all starts to look normal and blended in as we go. So I'm just taking my beauty blender and patting that on top. Now that same eyeshadow brush that we just went in on the nose with, I'm gonna dip it into the Huda Beauty contour. Same thing, taking most of the product off, but I'm actually just gonna press that onto the eyelids. I can't stress it enough, like how pigmented this product is. Like I just wiped all of it off and it's still so intense, it's crazy. And I'm just gonna bring that all over the eye and just pressing it like right out into the face and just like blending it right in with the contour that we put on our face. And this just makes it look so natural and beautiful and just makes me feel so warm and like summer. I love doing this. So I'm going to leave the cream here for now and we're gonna go ahead and set in with some powder. So I'm gonna do the 2 powder method today. I'm gonna start with my Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish powder. This is just a light, lovely powder that we're gonna dust all over our face. I'm gonna take this and I'm just gonna take a lot of the product off on my hand and we're gonna lightly dust that all over. I'm also putting it on my brows to help it just like set in and stay. And just applying that all over the face to do a nice little initial setting and make sure that our makeup doesn't budge anywhere. If we are using this for event makeup, we don't want it to budge. We want it to stay. And even if you are dry, you can find powders like the ones I'm using today that don't feel super dry and tight on your skin. Make sure that you're using a nice hydrating primer, but we gotta set it in to make sure that the concealer and all the products on our face don't budge. So we use that to set all over our face, and then I'm gonna go in with the Givenchy setting powder. This has been one that I have recently discovered and I've been loving it. It's got a little bit of a pink tone, this shade number 3, and it just has a really cool brightening effect for the under eye. So I'm gonna take the little triangle puffs that I got on Amazon and we're gonna dip that into the powder, take off the excess product on the back of our hand, and use this little point to get right in there in the under eye. And I'll show you the before and after, or one side versus the other side, but I'm specifically using that underneath the eyes. And it just has the most intense setting and blurring effect on the under eye. I think it's magical. I'm like I don't know how to like properly bake. I feel like I've never like actually successfully baked, but this is about as close as I'm gonna get to it. And I feel like it just makes it look so blurred and perfected under there. It's great, especially because I do love to use my glowing hydrating base products. This just really smooths it out in the under eyes where you don't want to be shiny. So I'm just pressing that under there. This is a step that I've really come to appreciate. So what I'm gonna do now is I just take like the excess product and I will just use that puff to go right down the center of my face where I do get a little bit more shiny and around my mouth. I'm not like applying any more product. I'm not picking any more product up out of the container, but I just go ahead and dot that around my mouth. I'm gonna do another layer of my Benefit Professional Setting Spray. So just in case everything goes wrong, I'm actually gonna leave the face there for now. I'm just gonna let it kind of soak in and do its thing. We're gonna go ahead and finish up the brows and do the eyes. Now I haven't used this in forever. This is a little bit dangerous, but I wanted to try out the Benefit Brow Microfilling Pen again. And now that we've like let the product dry and we've set it with powder as well, I'm gonna go ahead and fill them in. And I like to do this before I do my eyes so that I have something to kind of frame the eyes with. That was really intense. Okay. Wow, I'm so happy I've tried that again. Now I also don't always use this next step, but I'm just gonna do it today because what the heck, we are talking about some glam makeup. So I'm gonna take the lighter shade of my concealer and a little brush and just do what the pros do and just put that underneath my brow to kind of highlight it and give it a little bit more shape. So just carving out that area and bringing a little bit more detail to the brows. All right, gang, let's do some eyeshadow. Now, I wanted to just quickly talk to you about some of the palettes that I kind of keep around as my go-to glam palettes. And for me, that's just like a lot of matte neutral shadows. So I'll show you a couple of my favorites. A few of the go-tos that I have used over the years. My recent one has been the Hindash palette, which I think is the one I'm going to use today. Really just loving the Hindash palettes in general. Now I also really love the Makeup by Mario mattes palette, the Master Mattes. This is just like excellent if you want every single neutral shade on the planet. I also love the Viseart Neutral Mattes. This is such a classic. If you want more of the cool tone shadows, the Natasha Denona Glam palette is absolutely perfect. This has been a huge favorite that I definitely don't talk about enough. And then finally, I also just have my like classic MAC Individuals pan. Some of these shadows I've had in here for years, like since I worked at MAC. But I had also given this a little refresh not that long ago. So this is always a go-to as well. But I wanted to play with the Hindash palette today. This is the Beautopsy palette and I have not given this enough love. So before we do that though, I am gonna use an eyeliner, which I think is a really fun place to start and one of my favorite ways to do my little easy glam on my eyes. I personally love to use brown eyeliner. I think it's just a little bit more of a softer look than black, but you can obviously go in with black if you wanted to add a little bit more depth to the eyes. But I'm actually gonna take this Wayne Goss Rich Hazel Essential Eye Kohl, and I actually picked up a little pack of these. It was a set of 5 that I bought on Beautylish, and I'm gonna use this, and we're gonna like use this to kind of carve out our crease a little bit, as well as our lash line. And this is, if you've been on my channel forever, you guys know that this is just a go-to look for me. And wow, this pencil is so creamy, it's so nice. I'm gonna start by lining the lash line, and then taking a little shader brush, and I'm just gonna blend that in. So I'm just really softening that eyeliner, just kind of pushing it into the lashes. And this is just gonna add all the definition to the lash line. So when we apply mascara, like even if you wanted to tone down the look, like you can literally just leave it here and it just adds depth to the lashes. This is so beautifully creamy, I love, but we are not going to stop here. I'm actually gonna take some of this liner and I'm just gonna like follow my crease. This is such a pigmented liner. We don't really need a lot, but I'm basically just gonna like hollow out the little crease here and I'm just pushing. I'm like pushing the liner in. I'm not like wiping it out or away. I'm just gonna push that in until it gets a nice soft definition in the crease and just really emphasizing this outer corner. So I'm focusing the product on this outer corner and then I'm not adding any more product, but I will just go ahead and like push this into the crease and just continue blending it. You're gonna wanna get a clean blending brush and just kind of blending that product through as we go, just softening out that product. I'm also gonna take a little bit of that liner just on the lower lash line here and with that same shader brush. And then I just blend that up into the rest of the product that I have blended on the top. And again, I'll just go in with my fluffy brush and soften that out as we go. I'm gonna go ahead and skip through me doing the same thing on the other side, and at the end we'll be magically smoked. Once all our liner is blended out, I'm gonna go ahead and dip into the Hindash palette. I'm gonna start with this lovely little warm shade here, which you can see is my most warm naturally. And I'm gonna take this on a big fluffy blending brush, and I'm just gonna pop that into the crease and add a little bit of warmth there. That was quite a cool toned brown, and by dusting this lovely little warm shade, it just adds that piece of warmth obviously, but it also just helps to really diffuse and make everything look super blended. And I'm just blending that into the crease and above it and kind of like out the face. I'm not really touching this center part of the eyelid, just really lightly going over the crease with this. And with this same warm shade, I'm gonna take it on a smaller brush and just blend out that lower lash line. So we only put the liner on the outer half, but I'm gonna take this warm shadow all the way along the lower lash line and just help to blend everything together. I'm gonna dip into this tan line shade. It's kind of just like a creamy, very light beige. And I'm just gonna place that right in here on the lid, just in case we did a little bit of extra blending. I just want to add a bit of that color there. Could have done this at the start as well, for sure, but I feel like it's okay adding it at the end as well. That's it for the shadow. I'm gonna leave it there, but I simply must add a little bit of glitter. So this is the ColourPop Super Sock. Is it Mighty Morphin or is it 21K3? This lovely little glitter shimmer here. And usually I will do this with my fingers, but I think today I'm actually gonna apply it with a brush because I do just want it to be a soft little sparkle. And sometimes if I pat it on with my finger, it can be a little bit too pigmented, but I just really want this to be a soft dusting. So I'm just gonna press that. Oh, it's so pretty. With a brush and just put that all over the lid and add a little bit of soft shimmer. And I like that it's kind of like stardust. It's not like a thick glitter and it's not like a full-on shadow. It's just that kind of in between. But this reminds me so much of my Dior Meteor shadow where you just get a little bit of a glint, and I think it's like sophisticated shimmer. I love this. If you've watched my channel for years, you know that this is my go-to look, and I think it just like, especially if you're going to an event and you're like sparkling in the flash, like how pretty is this soft little dust. So using a brush, a fluffy brush, can kind of just help make it look a little bit softer and not too pigmented, you know? Then finally, we're gonna go in with liquid liner. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this Benefit They're Real Extreme Precision Liner, and this is in the shade Extra Brown. We're not using black, we're using brown for a little bit of a softer look, and I'm gonna go ahead and use that to line my lashes. I'm going right to the inner corner here. And I'm just gonna do a really little wing. I do like to do a wing whether I'm using liner or shadow because I just feel like it helps to make the eyes look really nice and lifted. And I try to just generally follow the line of my lower lash line and up, but I don't always do it evenly and well. So we just do our best here. Hold our breath and do our best. Okay, and then I'm gonna take a really small brush and dip into the brown and the black in the Hindash palette, just kind of like go between the two here. And I'm just gonna really lightly press that on top. This kind of just helps to like set it, but also giving it a little bit of a softer, smoky look. I'm gonna take this Makeup by Mario brightening pencil and just put that in the waterline. And then we're gonna go in with mascara. This is the Maybelline The Colossal Curl Bounce Mascara. I'm gonna put this on the upper lashes and a little bit on my lower lashes, even though lately I've not been wearing mascara a lot just because of my little blinking issues. But this one like actually kind of feels like a waterproof mascara. It's actually really hard to take off. And because of that, I actually feel like it's really, really long lasting. I'm focusing the mascara on the outer corner of the lashes. I'm really trying to mimic the cat eye with the wing, and so just focusing a lot of that mascara and kind of angling my lashes outward. I'm going to take a tiny bit of that and just press it onto my lower lashes and just try my best not to get any of that product onto my skin. So you can totally leave the eyes like this. I love to just wear mascara. I like the more natural look, and I don't often like to fiddle when it comes to lashes. I also can't do strip lashes for the life of me. I can't, it just doesn't work for me. I don't know. But if you wanted to add an extra oomph and emphasize the lashes, you can always go in with some individual lashes, which is my personal favorite way to apply fake lashes. It's a little bit tedious, it takes a bit of time, but once you get the hang of it, I just find it so much easier and much more fluffy and natural looking and like undetectable than a strip lash. So this mascara truly like gives the most beautiful fluffy volume ever. I am quite obsessed with how it looks, but I'm gonna go in and add a few of these Nikkie Makeup Swede lashes. We're gonna mainly focus on the long ones and just put a few on the outer corner of the eyes. So I've just added about 4 of the clumps. I think each one has like 5 to 6 lashes, and I've added about 4 of those to each of the eyes, and I feel like it just gives it such a like soft, beautiful, extra fluffy look. I absolutely love these. They were a little bit more expensive ordering these into Canada, but they are gorgeous, and I feel like that just really adds the emphasis to the lashes that we were looking for. So let's go ahead and finish the face. I'm gonna start with bronzer. I've actually pulled out my Alana's Hoola. This is the old Hoola bronzer that I had put in my project pan, and it's been a minute since we've given her some love, so I'm gonna go ahead and use this. I love to layer up my bronzers. I like to start with a matte one, especially because when we apply the powder, I feel like it kind of dulls down the bronzer and contour that we put on, and I like to start with a matte one just to kind of diffuse that and bring back the contour. And I just love to layer up the cream and powder products. So I'm pretty much just taking that matte bronzer and applying that all where we applied the contour, the cream contour beforehand. Dust a little bit of that on my nose, nothing too crazy, just super light, and just all around the temple. And then I'm going to take a bigger, fluffier brush. This is the Refer 30 brush, and I'm going to use the Benefit Hoola Glow, a little bit of a glowy bronzer, and I'm going to use that even lighter, just all around the face, just to give a little bit of glow back. And I also like to take this one on my little chesticle areas if it is exposed. Now when I'm doing my easy soft glam looks, I really like to stick with neutral shades when it comes to my blush and my lips. And for me, I always like to try and match my lip and my blush shade. So if I'm going for like a cool tone pink blush, I'm gonna go for a cool tone pink lip. If I'm going for orange, I'm gonna do orange. And when I do my neutral blush and lips, one of my favorite blushes to go for is my... You guys, I've been recording for like 20 minutes and the card was full, and I was just sitting here talking to myself and not realizing. So we did some blush and we did some highlight. That's where it rudely cut me off. So what I was trying to say is that when I do my go-to glam, I like to do a little matching combo. So the blush that I have put on, let's just redo this. Laura Mercier Fresco, my friends. One of my favorite go-to when it comes to doing my soft glam. And you know, the blush is already applied right now, but let's just put another layer on for goodness. It's got a little bit of a pink feel in there. It's got a little bit of shimmer going on, and it's just one of my favorite blushes, and I definitely don't talk about it enough, but it's my go-to neutral shade when it comes to blush, and I think it's just stunning. Then for highlight, which I've also already dusted all over my face, the Dior Nude Glow Highlight, which I recently just stabbed my finger into. Whoops. But let's just go ahead and do another little layer of this too. I just do a really soft little kiss just right here on the tops of the cheekbones. Nothing too crazy. I've really been like toning it down when it comes to the highlight, but definitely still like to hit it on my nose. And then to finish off the eyes, I always love to take my face highlight and use the same one for the inner corner and the brow bone. And that finishes off the face. So that was what we missed. Camera, how dare you? I am so sorry. Let's just spritz a little finishing spray of the Benefit Professional. I had also done my lips, but thankfully we can remove that. So let me just rediscuss with you my go-to neutral lip combo. I feel like it would be rude for me to not use my Victoria Beckham O2 lip definer, this little nubbin that could. It just refuses to be gone. I have used this endlessly and it's still hanging on. So I just like to use this to line my lips, and it's a little bit more of a beige. It kind of depends on what I'm feeling. Sometimes I use this, sometimes I'll use a little bit more of a pinky liner. I love everything about it. It is definitely my go-to. And I just line all of my lips, reline my lips. I just like to take my finger after and just blend that in. And then for lip color, it kind of just depends on how I'm feeling. I've got a lot of favorite lip colors to go on top of this. Right now, I've just recently pulled out the Chantecaille Patience lipstick. This was a Unikki makeup inspired purchase long ago, and it's just such a great color, great formula, great smell, great everything. And this is such a beautiful, easy neutral lip. Love that so much. Now I could totally leave it here, but if you wanted to add a little bit of extra juicy juice when it comes to the gloss, the Westman Atelier Squeaky Clean Lip Balm. This one's in the shade Nana. And this will just add that final beautiful layer of glossy juice on the lips. I'm just gonna put that right into the center. You can kind of just pat it around with your finger to make sure that it's all blended in, but such a gorgeous gloss. I know it says lip balm, but like, that's a gloss to me. And that, my friends, completes this makeup look. This is my easy go-to soft glam makeup look that I personally think is perfect for any occasion. Any occasion that you need some glam makeup, this is the go-to. I've been doing some variation of this go-to makeup for so long, and obviously there's a few updated products here, but the principle remains the same. Just easy, beautifying, soft glam makeup. Dare I say that this would be like the perfect bridal makeup as well? A bold statement, I know, but so many of you asked me for bridal makeup, and I just feel like this would be it. I really hope that you enjoyed this makeup look. I hope that it was helpful. I hope that you learned something here today. My friends, thank you so much for being here. I really hope that you enjoyed this video today, and I will see you all very soon for a new one. Bye! Wow, I really can't lift my arms in this shirt. Bye!